because you know what? On top of Cubs baseball, we have White Sox baseball. And White Sox baseball is going to be pretty entertaining too. A lot better than last year, I'll tell you that right now. And you know, we had all these offseason acquisitions from the White Sox. And I'm going to get into some White Sox talk right now, if you couldn't really tell. You had the White Sox last year, and in hindsight, yeah, I probably should have realized that they were going to be this terrible. 73 and 89 terrible. That's not a contender, you know. That's not what the White Sox wanted to have going into this year. They wanted to be right. A lot of people picked them to win the World Series, but they were awful. They were 30th in the league. I just heard a stat today on the score. 30th in the league in OPS, which is slugging and on-base percentage. That's not gonna cut it at all. They were terrible defensively. You know, the bright spots were their parts of their rotation. Chris Sale was unbelievable. Absolutely fantastically unbelievable. And then Jose Quintana was good. And then Carlos Rodon had a very solid second half that people are very excited about. But this year compared to last year, I would say yes. I can realistically expect the White Sox to be good in 2016 compared to 2015. Here's why. Their moves this offseason made a lot of sense. And starting with their acquisition of Brett Lawrie was the start of it all, right? They had picked up Lawrie. They traded Lawrie from the A's, got a pretty, solid player from Oakland. They gave up Frankie Montas, Mika Johnson. Mika Johnson was involved in another trade, but it's one of the pieces that they lost. Some other players involved in that Oakland deal who, you're going to give up some players to get a good, decent player. So Brett Lawrie was a solid contribution and a very obvious improvement over what they had last year. And, it was slated that he would play third until they went out and got Todd Frazier. They traded Mika Johnson, Trace Thompson. And you know what? Thinking back about that deal, it's funny that those star studs in the deal that got Frazier went to the Dodgers, and the Reds got some Dodger prospects that are kind of crappy. Whatever. That's okay. Whatever the case may be, you got Frazier, and that's your guy. Holy cow. Good job, White Sox, making moves, making fans happy. Yeah, you're in it. They got rid of Tyler Flowers. You replaced that ugly catching scenario with two decent catchers who will do the job. Yeah, you're losing stuff defensively with Deontay Navarro and Alex Avila, but that's two solid players that know how to play the game, can hit. That's the main difference. They're going to hit. And that's what you need out of the catcher spot. That was a big glaring need for the White Sox. You look at the White Sox last year, you get past the fifth spot in the lineup, you're like, oh no, this is like 2 innings straight of just 1, 2, 3. So that wasn't improved. They already improved there. So you have Frazier at third, Saladino at short, who did well defensively at third last year, filled in nicely, and they kind of expected him to be their guy this season, but he can't really hit. But that'll come. That's okay. Like Addison Russell, he doesn't have to hit. All he has to do is pick it up on defense. And Brett Lawrie at second, a lot of production is going to be dependent on Brett Lawrie. The White Sox can't be good if Brett Lawrie is going to be terrible. He can't be hitting 210. That's not going to cut it, man. Got to be able to produce. Give me some slugging. Give me some OBP. Don't be striking out a lot. I know you do, but don't be doing that. And you got Jose Abreu, and you got to live with Adam LaRoche, who will give you anything better than last season. Whatever he does in 2016 is an improvement over last year, so you take that as a win. So you're set in the infield, which is great. Then you get to the outfield, and a lot of people were saying the White Sox should have made one more move, and maybe the prize would have been Dexter Fowler. And them not going after Fowler tells me that they're confident in Avi Garcia in right field. Okay, I understand that. He's young. And last year was his first full season, coming off that labrum injury. I believe it was a labrum injury. And it wasn't good. Let's be frank about it. It was bad on defense, couldn't really read a fly ball, making terrible mistakes on the base paths, and couldn't hit. And it was just an overall down year. But this year is the year for Avi to step up, and it's clear that Avi's not doing well by the deadline, they'll probably look to deal him. And if he's struggling, they probably won't get a really good return for him either. So you're hoping a lot from that. But what I wanted them to do, and I was adamant about this, is they should have signed Ian Desmond. But they didn't. Desmond's now with the Rangers, and then he might play the outfield, which is funny because he's a terrible defender at short, but he can hit. He can give you 20 homers, but he'll strike out a ton. But now that I think about it, I'm okay with. I'm actually happy that they didn't sign Desmond because that would have hurt their lineup. The better move, I like what they did in their acquisition of Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy Rollins is a veteran. Yeah, he's not going to give you what he was in the past, but this guy is a great mentor to have in the clubhouse for Saladino and top prospect Tim Anderson. That presence alone is going to be great. And you know what? You don't want to hand over the reins of 160, 150, 140 games of shortstop to Tyler Saladino. He's not. It's better to ease him in with 70, 80 games first instead of just relying on him every single day throughout this grind of a season. I would expect that if I had to split, as long as Jimmy Rollins is healthy, I'd say he plays 90 games this year. And I think the White Sox would be happy with that. Very happy with that. Whatever production you get, it's going to be like a 90-70 split. That's a good recipe. I like that. You're solid defensively this year, which is a major improvement over last year. Well, let me say that. And that'll help out your pitching staff big time. Because everybody saw how Samardzija would struggle, after a couple errors, here and there, things didn't go their way. Suddenly Samardzija would try and do too much, and then he would just suck, and blah, blah, blah. We know how that turned out. But now Chris Sale doesn't have to strike out 240-something guys again, He doesn't have to do that. He can rely on his defense to make plays for him. Jose Quintana, the same thing. He's not going to be left, especially going back to no decisions that he had. I mean, that's going to be cut down absolutely because he'll presumably get some backup offensively. So this White Sox team, they had a good offseason. I would give them that. And people are knocking on them for not making an extra, you're not going all in. What's the deal with, you made the trade for Frazier, you made the trade for Laurie, you got 2 catchers. Why not go all in? And I think they are going all in. And I think they're smart not to invest money into a guy like Dexter Fowler, which they actually attempted to. They tried to get him, but ultimately it came down to his choice, Even after the Orioles thing fell through, the White Sox had an offer, but the thing with that is, and same with Desmond, is that pick that comes with it. It was like the 29th or maybe in the 30 range. I'm not sure what pick number exactly it was, but it was a pretty decently high pick, and they were pretty attached to it, and they didn't want to give it up for just 1 year of service, which I can understand. I totally get it. That's fine. So it's okay that you don't get Dexter Fowler here, but you got to count on to compensate for a possible struggle from Avi Garcia. You're going to need a lot from Laurie, and you're going to need a lot from Frazier. And Frazier had a terrible second half last year, and that probably had to do a lot with how bad the Reds were, but still. Got to be able to contribute, especially when you're these guys coming in. So, yeah, White Sox, AL Central, I'm not ready to crown them the winner yet, but I'll say they're in it because everybody's in it, even the Twins, maybe. You never know. But with the White Sox, maybe. Go get them. This is going to be a fun year in Chicago sports in the summer. I'm really excited about Chicago. It's going to be good. And you know what another thing is, too? That the Cubs and Sox rivalry will get back at it. Because it's kind of fun. Even when I hate White Sox fans during that time, it's fun. We're not going to have a summer of just dead baseball.